Welcome, everybody, to the Don't Say That podcast. Today, we have a live audience. That's right, we're filming this with our Compliant Academy members and also our Challenge VIP members. We're going to go real quick, 15, 20 minutes, have a little fun. We were answering a ton of questions for our members as we do every month, and we'll go back to the answering questions for them here very soon. Now, without further ado, today, I'm going to reintroduce to you Mr. Greg Christiansen. I'm kind of scared of him today a little bit because this dude turned he flipped sides, and now he's brought a world of pain to a marketer who maybe deserved it. I'm not saying he doesn't, but I mean, got the DOJ involved, and there's going to be lots of money. I don't know, maybe jail time. It's so funny because I didn't know that this was his case. I'm sitting here before this episode and I'm like, hey, did you hear about this thing? It's been all over the web, and, you know, DOJ 20 million. And he's just looking at me like, and he goes, that's my case. I'm like, what? So, Greg, you said this particular case really got under your skin specifically and pissed you off. I'm curious to hear more about it. What made this case stand out versus others? Why is this one so much more serious? And just what happened, man? Tell us.
He made it personal. So
Made it personal.
oh gosh, I would say it's June of 2023. I get a call from my dentist, who's one of my buddies, who's in my neighborhood. And he's like, hey, I invested in this thing. My dental hygienist came in, and her husband talked to me about this online business they're doing on Amazon. And I listened to them. I trusted them. So I invested $40,000 into it. And 2 months after, they've stopped communicating altogether with me. What do I do? And I said, well, I mean, you know, I defend and I help marketers understand how to follow the law. Let me look and see what they're doing. Can I see the ads and can I see it? And he's like, sure. So I look at it. I sit down with him in his office and I'm like, sorry, Chad, you've been screwed. This guy's totally just lied to you, misrepresented everything. And he's like, what do we do? And I said, well, the problem with this is you can't just really sue the guy because he'll hire an attorney and he'll just fight you one-on-one, and then it's too much. I said, maybe I can try to get a refund for you, right? Maybe I'll reach out to him and get a refund. He's like, well, there's a couple of other people I'd like to talk to and have them talk to you too. Can they? It's like, sure, I'm kind of busy, but let me just do a Zoom, send you out a link, we'll jump on it. It's like, okay. So I sent out a Zoom link to Chad. So I jump on. There's 50 people that join. They're all unique purchasers. They've all paid about $40,000 each. And I'm blown away. And so I talked to them. They're all universal in this. They were promised this guy was going to come do an automated Amazon store for them, but he lied to them in the sense he was saying we were going to do drop shipping, which Amazon prohibits. You can't use drop shipping on Amazon because what happens with a drop shipper is you'll get a store on Amazon. You'll say it's available. It looks like the product's available. It's not. You don't even own it. Some third party does, and you have to get it from them. Well, if you remember in 22 and 23, what was the issue with everything online? Supply chain issues. And so, you know, there's a supply chain issue and they don't deliver the products. And what happens? Amazon looks bad because people buy things they never get. So you get a lot of refunds. And what happens is Amazon will bar you from the account. So they made this rule anti-drop shipping. At least there's some, you have to apply for it and do it right. This guy was like, we're not going to apply at all. We'll just do it. Now, just note, don't tell them you're doing drop shipping. Don't say that. Oh, by the way, you can't afford this. Well, let's get you into our alpha financing. And what you can do with that is we'll help you get credit cards so you can pay for all this too. But when you apply for the credit cards, tell them that you currently make $250,000 a year in this business, even though you're starting. I know you haven't done it and you're not established, but tell them that. So you can get the credit cards. And why do they get the credit cards? So they could buy a $40,000 package from these guys to do an automated alpha Amazon business. So unfortunately for my buddy, he did a wire transfer because he had the money. He was a dentist. So he just sent the money. So I'm on here listening to all these stories. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's overwhelming. So I'm like, hold on. Let me tell you what we can do here. 3 solutions for you guys off my back. One, we go back for those of you that have paid with credit cards. Let's do chargebacks and challenge the payments as fraudulent. For those of you who do wire transfers, you can't do a chargeback with a bank for a wire transfer. Number two, we're going to go to the regulatory bodies. You're all going to file claims with the Better Business Bureau and the FTC and the Attorney General's office where you're at, but I'm going to specifically request a meeting with, in this case, it was the state of Utah, and to go through this because the company was in Utah and most of the people that were on the Zoom call were in Utah. So they were like, well, we want to have a follow-up meeting. So a month later, I have a follow-up Zoom meeting. Now I get 75 people. I currently represent 130, just so you know. So the case that came down last week. So what happened was I was litigating against the state of Utah on another case. It's a 5-year litigation case. And after trial was over, I asked for a meeting with the state of Utah on this case. Now I realized some things that I wanted to make sure we had. So what I did is I individually went with every single one of these 130 people that I represent. I got all their bank statements and credit card statements and wire transfers and all the documents they got from this company and this guy. And I documented it in an affidavit and I put it down. And so a legal document where they attest penalty of perjury that the information is true and accurate. And I had them all sign this, and then I attached all the exhibits in the back. So I've got 130 affidavits, thousands of pages worth of receipts and damages and everything else. So I go and I meet with the state of Utah. I said, this guy's a bad guy. Thanks for meeting with me. Let me explain. They're like, we know what's going on a little bit. Like, well, I got it all. I've got all of his webinars. I've got all of his social media posts. I've downloaded all of his slides. I've got phone calls recorded. I have everything. So I have everything in place for this. And so we need to take this guy down. And then what I did is I got authorization for my clients to give all of the affidavits and all the supporting documentation to the state of Utah. So I'm going to, so state of Utah, Douglas Crapo, Liz Blaylock, they did a solid. We're opposing counsel on things because I represent marketers that get in trouble. No, these aren't marketers that I represented to avoid problems. These are people that come to me after they get sued or there's an investigation that they want me to represent in court because I'm not the best, but I do okay. I do okay. So anyway, so we were in this litigation case, but they took the time after trial to meet with me, and to their credit, they went to bat. And I knew where to go, and I went to them, and then they included the Department of Justice and the Securities and Exchange Commission, who started an investigation about 1.5 years ago. So I gave the same documents again to the DOJ and the SEC. Now, none of this is public knowledge, right? My clients, I haven't even told the whole story about. But remember, my philosophy with them, one was chargebacks, get money back. Two, regulatory. Why? Because the government will step in. So these guys don't have money. There are a lot of retired school teachers and firefighters and police officers. This guy took their entire retirement accounts. So what can they pay me? Not tens of thousands of dollars to litigate this case. So collectively, I had them throw in a small retainer, every one of them. Enough that they wouldn't abuse my time, but not too much that they felt like they were getting taken advantage of. And so what I've done after we did the regulatory, so I've drafted the class action suit. I haven't filed it yet. That's a third. This only is effective if the guy has insurance. If he has insurance, because the government so last week in November, they arrested and charged his primary salesperson for the organization. And they did it for 3 things. They did it for securities fraud, for selling a securities without being licensed, and fraudulently misrepresenting the return on investment of the security. Because this guy had charts. He would tell people your ROI is 1 year. In fact, we haven't had people that haven't got their money back within 1 year. Nobody got their money back. None of my clients I represent got their money back. So in fact, their stores were shut down within the first month or two of actually launching. It took him 90 days to get the store up. So why? Because he knew that if he pushed back 90 days, then the chargebacks wouldn't go through. So he told them that it would take 90 days, but he was delaying on purpose in order to get them out of the chargeback period. So 90 days to get their site up, and as soon as they got up, they get shut down within a month. And so nobody made money with this. So Cole Brumhall, which is his primary sales guys, they arrested, and he pled out. and his part of his sentencing is going to be reduced because, and I don't know this because I haven't talked to him. My guess is from the scuttlebutt from talking to my client is he's negotiating a smaller sentence in jail to help against Jeremiah and the company. So last week they arrested Jeremiah Evans, who was the owner personally for that, and they charged him, and he's pled out. He's going to be sentenced in a couple of months. The moral of this story is you got to be careful, because you would think that offering an Amazon product would be something that's just a violation of some sort of civil act, right? But the way that this guy characterized it, when I met with him, it was like, hey, listen, my background's securities law, but look at this. I mean, he's saying pay $40,000. He's having other people refer people to him, and he's giving commissions for that. How is this not a security transaction? And so I was looking to sue him on any legal grounds I could. I'll be honest, I was not thinking that they would solely go under the SEC. I thought the FTC would get involved in this, but they didn't, because the SEC stepped in. The FTC and I mean, there's no reason for both of the agencies. I guess the FTC could get involved in it, but because the DOJ and the SEC have got involved, you're not going to probably see the FTC get involved in this. But everything I told my clients would happen with phase 2 has happened. All of his personal business and everything assets have been shut down. And I've had to sit for the last year and a half and watch this guy buy Lamborghinis and live in a mansion and flutter. He's got social media all over how he's the bull and how he's just rock and roll. And my clients going nuts because they know he stole their money. And I was just like, just wait for it. Just wait for it. Be patient. So phase 2 is done. I'm going to sue him. If he's got insurance, then we'll collect. If he doesn't, it's going to be kind of a futile, because everything these people can collect is going to be through the government anyway. But they're collectively together, and they're all going to have some retribution for this, and they'll get money back for it. But this just shows you, like, I'm an attorney. I see bad acts. I know how to stop them. I knew as soon as my buddy came to me and said, hey, what to do with this, where to go, and what avenue to take. Do I revel in this? No. This guy had every chance to stop, and he didn't. And he told these guys, F off, go screw yourself. He stole widows' monies. He stole our, public servants' monies, our public defenders' monies, our police officers and firefighters and these first responders. So he pissed me off. And so I was like, fine, you can flaunt yourself. He's known about me for a long time, and I know behind closed doors he's kind of laughed about it, like nothing's gonna happen. I'm just wait. I'm like an assassin, man. I just wait silently. I just wait. I tell people not to say anything. Don't say anything. Just wait.
But do you think so? So first of all, we talked about the sales guy. I know I just didn't connect the dots, I guess, when we talked about this episode on the last episode, that it was your case, and that I knew you were working on a class action. I just didn't know this is it. Yeah. So does this then help set a precedent for others who are selling done-for-you Amazon, done-for-you e-com type of offers? Is this a new frontier that's been unlocked now by the DOJ and by SEC, that one more kind of weapon that they'll use to shut this kind of offer down? Because up until now, the FTC's come in and they've whacked around and done the asset freezes and all, but now we're talking jail time, talking criminal offense, like, I'm sure they're going to get a lot more attention. Is this the first of its case, the first one that the DOJ has, gone after an Amazon seller like this? No, it's not. Okay, so this isn't like, so the precedent was already there.
You got to look at the uniqueness. So I have another client that you probably know, but I won't mention his name here. A couple years ago, he has a podcast. He does an Amazon business, and he had one of the students that came and he taught how to do an Amazon business, and they one year picked the #1 product to sell on Amazon, and they crushed it. And so this guy was all excited, and he's like, can I come on your podcast, and can we raise funds to go and buy the inventory to be able to sell, and then we'll split the inventory? And so, well, sure. So he comes on and he raises from his community, he raises, I don't know, $5 or $6 million to buy inventory. Without my client knowing, he went to another group and did the same thing and raised about $16 million. So I think it was like total about $20 million of total money that they raised to get in the inventory. And sure enough, well, the first person who got involved in it was unique on this was actually the Postmaster General. So the other cause of action that the federal government went after Jeremiah Evans on was wire fraud. And the other ones that they can go after in these cases, intercommerce of an interstate, when you have mail that goes across interstate lines. And in this other case, I mentioned they had all the above on that. And so they ended up having a full investigation. The SEC stepped in, did a full investigation, but in the end of the day, the SEC and the Department of Justice both, so criminal and civil actions were brought by both. And it was an Amazon, but it was unique because they were raising for inventory, right? And so you could see how that could be. Now, when I looked into it, I was like, how is this not an investment? And they were like, oh, he's got SEC attorneys and everything like this. I've said yes. And I was like, didn't come to me, I wouldn't have said yes. But this case here is unique because the way that people were recruited were interesting. It was more of a word of mouth type situation. I get mom in, mom's excited. She gets son, daughter, son-in-law. And then, so the harm on this was like with my friend, how did he get into it? Well, his hygienist came to him and said, we just got into this and we did this, and he got interested in it. So it wasn't an MLM type things, but it was like, but the way that he was compensating was based on that. Like if I was a broker and I sold a security and I got a commission for selling. So it's a unique case. I think the other cases, the 3 other Amazon cases I have right now, where it's more of a traditional e-commerce webinar platform, they buy into it, is more of an FTC related, where I wouldn't really see the Department of Justice getting involved. The personal approach, the solicitation by friends and family, it made it a degree more, I don't know, just nefarious and really deceptive than you would have in that. Now, does that mean that they couldn't? No, I think they could expand it on certain cases. It just depends, right? It depends what you're offering.
Wow.
And if you had a return on investments set forth, but look at Automators LLC, that was kind of like that. They said, here's our diagram. It's a hypothetical, but it was really telling people how much they were going to make. That was more civil. I think the personal nature, when you have a one-on-one conversation with people and it becomes personal in nature, it just changes. It felt to me more like a Ponzi scheme than anything else. And so I think that's why the Department of Justice and the SEC took action so the way they did.
Wow. Well, we talked about this in a past episode, so now you're starting to see some muddied water here. Like, if you're doing these things and if you're not careful, like there is an avenue to turn it into a criminal case. So there you go. Wow, didn't know that. So, Greg,
terrible human. In fact, his ex-girlfriend direct messaged us after he was arrested last week. And it was a really, I mean, I'm going to send it to you so you can read it, but it was like, this guy is a horrible person. And I mean, he said on there, if you look at the press release on it, said he was a Division I quarterback. He sat on the bench 1 year. He never played a game. And, it's like, the guy was just a fraudster, total fraudster.
Oh, it's sad. Sad that there's people like that. Well, there you go. There's your story, kids, for the day, for this week. I guess Greg represents the other side too. Now that might create a swarm of people coming to you, Greg. So all the best. Okay, he's very busy. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, I'm only doing this for.
Yeah, I will tell you guys.
My heart.
I had somebody message me. Hey, Greg. They were like, "Hey, can I talk to Greg?" And I was like, "I don't think so, man. Just letting you know, I don't think so. He's super busy. He's got a lot of cases." So with that said, everyone, thank you so much.
He's going to.
What's that?
He's moving to Dubai.
He's going to Dubai.
He's converted to something.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here for the episode this week. We're going to get back to a couple of questions for our members, and we'll see you next week. Again, go to compliantacademy.com if you want to be a part of these town halls. Grab a copy of this book, and we'll see you guys next time.